I'm Chad Evan Collins, and this is the Marketing on Demand show. I set out to answer the million-dollar question. What is the biggest needle mover in your business, and what drives people to buy faster than anything else? Through selling over $30 million of my own products and services and setting 2 Guinness World Records for ticket sales along the way, I discovered how to move the needle consistently and quickly. If you're a marketer, e-commerce seller, entrepreneur, or founder, join me as I reveal my exact strategies and see what today's smartest business leaders are doing right now to explode their sales. Do you want to learn how to boost your sales using these methods? Text the word DEMAND to 90851. That's DEMAND to 90851. Now, here's the show. Hey, it's Chad Collins here, your host of the Marketing on Demand Summit, where we feature top marketers, entrepreneurs, and brands about the strategies, tactics, and tools they are using right now to move the needle in their businesses. Summit guests include Rachel Miller, Steve Larson, Molly Mahoney, Mary Catherine Johnson, and many more. And in just a minute, we have the pleasure of chatting with Pat Flynn and Ryan Levesque. If you missed any of these guests or want to own all the recordings, visit marketingondemand.com until Friday, September the 11th at midnight Pacific time. I want to take a moment to tell you about the Marketing on Demand show and podcast, which is launching Monday, September 14th. Today, the combination of scarcity and urgency, something I call scourgency, along with text message marketing, has had the biggest impact on my business. My mission is to get you to implement strategies and tactics like these in yours. We're having a live launch party on Zoom Monday, September 14th at 7 p.m. East, and I want you on my VIP list. There will be prizes, trivia, Q&A, and more, and you'll absolutely want to be there. So text VIP to 90851. I'll add you to my VIP list, which will get you exclusive access to my private Zoom room. Again, text VIP to 90851 or visit marketingondemand.com. All right, here we go. Pat and Ryan, welcome. I want to let you guys know that Pat is the father, husband, and entrepreneur who lives and works in San Diego, California. He owns several successful online businesses and is a professional blogger, keynote speaker, Wall Street Journal bestselling author, and of course, the host of the Smart Passive Income and Ask Pat podcasts, which have earned a combined total of over 60 million downloads, multiple awards, and features in publications such as the New York Times and Forbes. He is also an advisor to ConvertKit, Lead Pages, Teachable, and other companies in the digital marketing arena. And Ryan Levesque is the Inc. 500 CEO of the Ask Method Company, an entrepreneur and #1 bestselling author of the books Choose and Ask, the latter named by Inc. as the #1 marketing book of the year and by Entrepreneur as the #2 must-read book for budding entrepreneurs. His work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Forbes, Entrepreneur, on NBC News and Fox, and there are over 250,000 entrepreneurs on his email newsletter offering business advice. He is also the co-founder and investor in Bucket.io, the leading marketing funnel software for entrepreneurs. Ryan lives with his wife, Tylene, their 2 boys in Austin, Texas. You could follow his work at askmethod.com. Now, what you may not know about both Pat and Ryan is, like me, they're both certified AFOLs. And then, of course, that stands for Adult Fans of Lego. So this session is going to be a little more special than the rest because we'll collectively dive into some of our most favorite topics: audience building, marketing, and of course, Lego. And to kick things off, and before we get into the marketing tactics that we know about Lego and that we use in our businesses, I want to ask a question, and we'll start with you, Pat. What was your introduction to Lego? And did you ever have a dark age, and when did you get back into it as an adult?
My first introduction to Lego, actually my first introduction to building pieces of some sort, was actually Lincoln Logs back in the day. And I was playing with Lincoln Logs all the time, but you can only do so many configurations with something like Lincoln Logs, right? And you're only building houses and whatnot. You can't really build anything else. And then one day, my dad brought home a bag of Legos, and he was just like, here. And I was like, what do I do with this? What kind of house am I supposed to make? He's like, you can make anything you want. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so it was kind of from that point forward. In fact, I loved building things so much that I actually had defined my career based on my love of building. I became an architect, in fact, and this was my way of being an adult sort of Lego builder, but in real life. And unfortunately, I got laid off in 2008. But fortunately, that allowed me to explore entrepreneurship and have a lot more time with friends and family afterwards and build businesses that could affect a lot more people. So I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, that was my first experience with Lego. Was actually in comparison to a, shall I say, a lesser item.
So when did you get back into it now as an adult?
After having kids, so I wanted to introduce the same thing to my kids. And in fact, we got them introduced very early with giant mega sized ones. And in fact, there's these like foam ones that you can get.
Yeah.
That we were playing around with at the house and building forts with. And then as soon as the kids were done like swallowing little pieces of things, we were like, okay, we got to get them like actual Legos now. And we got them a set of Duplos and whatnot. And then of course the Duplos then changed to regular size Lego. And then we've just been absolutely just immersed and drowning in Lego, literally like stepping in them all the time. And now we're getting into a little bit more of the mechanics behind Lego and a lot of the motors and gears and whatnot, and building a lot of fun, creative solutions to different problems, and diving into the deep, deep world of Lego on YouTube, especially, which has been extremely fun to do together as a family. Both my son and daughter, we spend hours every single week playing together. It's super fun.
That's amazing. Ryan, what is your Lego origin story?
This is fun. I mean, this is like the most fun interview of my entire week, being able to just like talk about Lego like this with like two awesome guys. It's so much fun. So, I got started Lego pretty young age, like I think both of you guys. I had an older cousin who was 5 years older than me, and he was super into Lego, and I like wanted to be him when I was a kid. So probably when I was like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years old, and he was 10 years old, he had converted his parents, my aunt and uncle, their entire basement into a world of Lego, and had all these kind of plywood pieces on sawhorses that he had built into this massive Lego city. And it was at a time where there were basically, you had city, castle, and space, and that was it. And he had kind of like the 3 sort of areas of his world. And I remember when I walked into that basement as a 4 or 5 year old kid, I said, like, that is where I want to be. Like, that is the most amazing thing in the world. So, growing up, that was like always my special gift. Once a year for my birthday or Christmas, I'd always ask for a Lego set. It was kind of like the highlight of the entire year, and really became obsessed, and spent a lot of time building and creating worlds. And I tell my kids, who are 2 boys now, that Daddy was building Star Wars AT-ATs and X-Wings and A-Wings before like Star Wars and Lego had a collaboration. So like, I had an X-Wing that I'd built about this big, just like without any instructions, because I was so obsessed with Star Wars and Lego. So it started at a very young age. And, for a while, and Chad, you and I have talked about this, Pat, I don't know if we've talked about this, but I was one of these kids, like when I was a teenager, I was still playing with Lego. Like I was still into Lego, and I had a secret kind of stash underneath my bed as a teenager, and I didn't tell anybody about it because it was at an age where it's like, you should be chasing girls and, going to the movies and playing video games. And I did all that stuff. And I was a very popular kid in school, but I kind of had this like secret geeky side to me that I didn't let anybody know, not even my parents know, that when I was a teenager, I was still playing Lego like on the floor of my bedroom. And it wasn't until just a few years ago when I was at one of your events, Brickfest Live, that I shared publicly for the first time ever that I was still playing Lego as a teenager. And now, now that I've got my own kids, it's totally cool now to be a dad, playing Lego. So, my dark era was probably from a late teenager to when I had my first son, when I was about 30 years old. And I remember like taking my kids into Walmart and Target when they were like, 6 months old, and being like, all right, so what set should we get to build together? Like when you got a kid, totally acceptable. So now Lego, just like Pat, it's like all over our house. I've got the set that we're kind of in the middle of building right now in front of me. We've got, you know, an entire room devoted to Lego in our house. And yeah, it's a big part of our world. It's one of our slogans for our company is build it. Which is Lego inspired for sure. It's why I wore the shirt today, because I've taken so much inspiration from all those hours as a child, building worlds, creating characters, just creating things to inject that into our business now as an adult.
That's awesome. You know, you reminded me a little bit of my Lego origin story or using Lego as a kid. So we would have competitions. My best friend Andrew would come over, and we had all of my loose like bricks laying around. And my younger brother would say, all right, you guys go build a house or build a car or build something. And then he would be the judge on whose was better. And every single time, and no matter what we did, it was like we sent my brother out of the room or he was there. Every single time my friend Andrew would win. I never won like a building competition against Andrew. Fast forward to adulthood, Andrew is an architect. And ultimately I ended up creating events about Lego to bring people together. But I really have just been a build it, like I'm like, you know, paint by the numbers, like build the set kind of a person. I really enjoy getting into that and kind of like focusing and page by page and being really proud of the end result. And I see some of these creations that people make on their own, and it just blows me away. But, you know, I did certainly have a dark age, though my parents kind of knew that I didn't. And they would continue to buy me Lego sets no matter what age I was. But of course, it wasn't until, you know, I went to the Lego store that one day and brought home some Lego for my daughter. And then she went on YouTube, like you're going on YouTube now, Pat, and asked me to create a YouTube channel with her. And then, of course, the rest is history when it comes to the events. All right. Now that we have our Lego origin stories out of the way, I really want to get to the topic at hand, which is what has Lego done from a marketing perspective that has really catapulted them to the #1 most powerful toy brand, if not brand in general. But they are voted and rated the #1 most powerful toy brand by New York Toy Fair every single year. What are they doing from a marketing perspective that we can learn from and implement in our businesses? So I'll just kind of go around the horn. We'll go to Pat and then to Ryan, and then I've got a list too that I could share. So why don't you take it away, Pat?
Sure. I mean, there's so many things that Lego's doing right. And, you know, they went through a dark period of their own. They almost went bankrupt. They were $800 million in debt at one point because they were just churning out product after product, and they were losing focus on the one thing that we should all be focusing on, and that is your customers, your fans. And a new CEO came on board, and he really started to change the mindset of everybody at Lego to focus on the fans. And they do so many things for the fans of Lego to help support them. And one of those things that I love that they do is they include the Lego community in their decision-making processes, quite often, in fact. And for a while, there was a website called Lego Kusu, which later got transformed to ideas.lego.com, where in fact, anybody in the Lego community can take whatever amount of bricks that they have laying around, create something, put it up on there on ideas.lego.com. And if the community votes that this is the best one of the community, I think it's 10,000 likes or something like that, then Lego will actually consider manufacturing it as an actual Lego product. And that's just so cool that they're diving into the community to get into ideas and to get inspiration, and they're listening. And I think that's one thing that just taps into this human idea of just wanting to feel like we belong to something, that we're heard, right? For the longest time, marketing, especially when it comes to engagement and interaction, was just like a comment box or a complaint box. And what do people do with those? They just usually shred them, and you never hear from those people again. Versus now it's like, hey, not only are we going to listen to you, but we want to include you in our brand. We want you to actually create something, and we'll recognize you, and we'll make you feel like you belong to this community. And I remember my first experience with Lego Kusu, back when it was Kusu before it was Ideas.
Yep.
I bought on eBay a set. It was the DeLorean from Back to the Future by Lego. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did like a collaboration together. That's really cool. And I got the box. I look at the side of the box, and it said Lego Kusu #2. I was like, what is this Lego Kusu #2? I go to the website, and it's like, whoa, this was actually built by a fellow Lego fan who's also a fellow Back to the Future fan. Like, I have to find this person. But anyway, it was just so cool to see that they were involving the community in that way. And then I had a piece of something that was actually in somebody else's mind through Lego, who's able to scale that and make people feel like they're a part of something. Because that's ultimately what I think we all want. We all want to feel like we're a part of something where we can all nerd out together on something. And here was Lego stepping up, creating the forum and the community and the mechanisms to do that. And I think we all have that capability, even if we don't have a platform like Ideas. We all have the ability to ask our audience, hey, what should we do next? Or what do you feel would be best for you? I remember, like, there's some YouTube channels, for example, epic rap battles of history. How did they get famous? Not just by pitting two random characters from history and having an epic rap battle together, but at the end of every video, they go, who's next? And they get crowdsourced from the community who should be involved in the next video. And when they start that next video, they always show the comments of people who said they wanted that battle to happen. We all have the capability of involving our audience, and especially our top tier customers, in where our business is going to go. I think more brands need to do that.
That is a great lesson. Clearly something we could all learn and implement in our business. Ryan, what you got?
Yeah, man, I'll build on that. I love that, Pat, you went there with sort of asking your audience really to get feedback on what to create. And, you know, when Lego was at that point in the early 2000s, when they were on the brink of bankruptcy and they were, you know, kind of teetering on the edge, you know, one of the things that put them there is, in an effort to expand, they were trying to find new markets. And so they went out and they did the market research. And they asked why people weren't buying Lego. And one of the biggest pieces of feedback that came back was the fact that Lego was too hard. It took too long to build, that people just wanted to, like, have the toy and be able to play with it. So Lego responded by creating these sets that had fewer and fewer pieces that were pre-fused together. So you could get a set and build it in just a matter of minutes and begin playing with it. And the result, Lego almost went out of business. And in sort of one last ditch effort, when the new CEO came in and they decided, okay, what can we do? They went back to their base. They went back to their most passionate, most fervent fans, and they said, what are we missing? What do you want? And they came back and they said, we didn't want sets with fewer pieces. We want sets with more pieces, bigger sets, harder sets, sets that, you know, are not, you know, 500 pieces, but 1,000 and 2,000. So Lego responded, and they came up with their first 1,000-piece set, and it sold out in a matter of hours. And like you said, when these sets started going on eBay and started selling for 2, 3, 4, 10 times the price that people were paying for it. And they kept going down this path of just raising the ante. They kept upping the ante every single step along the way. And Gary, I don't know if we can zoom out a bit, but what you see here in front of me, here is one of the biggest Lego sets ever created. It's actually not fully constructed. It's only about 40% constructed. I'm working on it with my kids right now. It's a Harry Potter Hogwarts castle that has over 6,000 pieces. 6,000 pieces, a 6,000 piece set. And so what Lego did is they went to what in my world, what we call are your hyper invested or hyper responsive customers. And so the big mistake that people make when they're asking is they treat all data as equal. Instead, what you want to do, so for small business owners watching this right now, so how do you take this lesson and learn from it? Instead of going out there to the marketplace and just treating all data the same, you want to focus on those most passionate, most fervent fans and find out what it is that they want, because they're the ones that are going to spend more money, that are going to go deeper and invest further with you as a company. And like the crazy person I am here, you know, spend $700-800 on a Hogwarts castle to build with my 5 and 8 year olds at night. Why? Because we're total fans, and we relish the opportunity to spend a month, or in our case, like almost 2 months now, building this one little bag at a time, because it's the process that we really enjoy. And so when Lego made that realization and they started going that path, then that's kind of when the trajectory started taking off. And as Pat mentioned, became the most valuable toy company in the entire world, and one of the most valuable brands in all categories in the entire world, all predicated on basically one little product, which is this brick that we have in front of us right here. So I think there's so many lessons to that. And I think it's the nuance of knowing who to pay attention to. And it's to pay attention to those hyper responsive or hyper invested customers and actually ignore all the other noise and focus on that small, narrow segment of your market, because that's where all the opportunity is.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I could, pile onto that a bit, because your hyper focused or your most active buyers are also going to be the buyers that want the most exclusive offerings that you have. And what Lego has done a really great job of over the years is offer exclusive items if you buy other things, or if you spend $150 on Star Wars merchandise this month, then you get the exclusive Star Wars minifigure that you could only get if you buy $150 worth of other sets. Recently, I'm a huge Batman fan. I've got, let's see. Oh yeah, we've got Batman back there. I've got a Batman little Lego flashlight. But I also just built the Ultimate Collector Series Batmobile, which is very similar to that larger scale Hogwarts. But if you bought the Batmobile, the large scale one, in the first week, then you also got like a 250 piece Batmobile along with it, which was ultra limited. So it really drove a lot of traffic to their most avid fans, right? Their most rabid fans, to make a purchase now to get that extra bonus instead of waiting later where the bonus would be expired and it was limited run and it wouldn't be available anymore.
I see that also in the world of like Comic-Con. I live in San Diego, so we see these sort of exclusive things that are only available at Comic-Con during this time. And these things are wild. People love, like you said, that urgency and scarcity. Would you scourgency is what you said? I love that. Totally true. I mean, I use this specifically in my business. You might not have like physical items. Maybe you have digital products. You can create certain digital products to behave in a very similar way that are only available for a certain period of time that then you can no longer get access to. I have a course that I sell about affiliate marketing, and a great way to promote other people's products is to shoot videos, but people don't know how to shoot those videos. So I created a bonus mini course to go along that with that I sell alongside it, but that's the only place you can get it is if you get it while you are getting my other course. And that goes crazy. People go crazy for that. And of course, if you're providing value with that bonus at the same time, I mean, now you're building these super fans. You are all whilst building these top level super fans in your business, like Ryan was saying. And those are going to be the people who are going to be the most supportive. They're going to raise your flag really high. They're going to share you so much that it's going to annoy other people. But those are the people that you want in your corner for sure.
Yeah. And they want to, like, that's the thing. Like, they want to buy now and they want that extra bonus. And they can't wait to absorb all the content and have success with it. So Pat, I see you have a Tesla model next to you there.
I do. I have a Cybertruck.
So tell us a little bit about the origin of that. Like, how can you build that truck?
Well, I personally was not smart enough to come up with this design on my own.
Yeah.
Number two, Lego doesn't sell this set.
Right.
But somebody built this set, put the plans up on rebrickable.com. Me being a big Tesla fan and having the Cybertruck become this big phenomenon, I was like, I need to get that set. It was promoted on the front page of Rebrickable, and I was just like, I need that. So I spent, I think, $400 on the plan. Was like $8 just to get the plan. But of course, I need the pieces too. So I think Rebrickable is connected to Brick Owl, where literally you can just kind of get all the items that you need for it. And then 4 weeks later, I got this shipment from England. It was a box with all these pieces. And I was like, here we go. This is awesome. And it, again, is another thing that shows that Lego is supporting this hat. Like they could very well, because there's sort of like remarketing of their own goods, put a stop to all that. But they don't. They encourage it because they know that every photo that I take of this and put on Instagram, or every time I share it on a show like this, it's just more marketing for Lego. Interestingly enough, very similar to how Tesla does it. They just let their creators go wild with it without ever putting the ban hammer on them, versus other companies where if they see you using some of their products to sell something, or even just mention it on your videos, like, they're going to take it down immediately. And I love how Lego's supportive of the community. I mean, even in your story, Chad, like with your events, they're stepping up to help you. And that can only do anything but help them too. And it's just so cool when you see communities coming together, and then the sort of whatever this community is about being supported by the much larger company. It's just, it can only spread good vibes, and it'll make people love the brand even more. So yeah, I mean, and again, going back to community involvement, like, it feels really special to have something that another Lego fan created in my hands, that actually, you know, Lego allowed this to happen. And the fact that these things are being sold, and I could come up with maybe, like, I know there are people who are legit making good money by coming up with plans and selling them on Rebrickable. It's like such a cool, like little sub market that's happening there. It's really interesting.
Oh yeah. And look, being the producer of an event that attracts all of these builders together, we've had the opportunity to have some of those ideas designers at our show, which is great for kids that come to be able to meet an actual Lego designer, and get the set signed and do a photo op. But that community building that they do, and then also the set plans designers also, especially now with the Nintendo kit that recently came out, which is a home run. But there are a lot of other add-ons that now people are making. So, for instance, one I recently saw was the pistol from Duck Hunt. So that doesn't come with the kit that Lego sells, but there's a rebrickable type model that you could buy to add to that collection as an add-on.
Yeah, it reminds me of almost like Fortnite. I play a lot of Fortnite with my son. We stream on Twitch together. It's a good bonding time. Sometimes Fortnite will take like a drawing from an 11-year-old who's a big fan of Fortnite and then actually use that character in the game that you could buy. And it's like they're rewarding this little kid, and that's happened a few times. It's just so cool to see these larger companies involving their community in these kinds of ways.
For sure. All right, Ryan. Do you have another marketing tactic that Lego has employed that we can learn?
Yeah, for sure. So the whole bunch of them, but the one that comes to mind, again, I'm going to use my props here for this one, is the reason why I chose these two sets in front of me is so you can see these are actually two sets. This one here, we've talked about this one already. This one here is also a Hogwarts castle. This one here is about 1,400 pieces, I think, if I remember. And yet they have a 1,400 piece set, and then they have a 6,000 piece set to build the same thing. And you think, okay, so what crazy person is going to build and buy both of these, knowing that they already have this one? Well, I think it's a great marketing strategy for a number of reasons. Number one, I think it speaks to the fact that if I'm a buyer, I might have a certain budget that I'm working within, and I might want something. And so I'm now catering, or Lego's catering, to different levels of buyers. So they know that they have a subset of their audience, of their marketplace, that's interested in a fan of Harry Potter as well. So you've got the Harry Potter sort of circle in the Venn diagram. You've got the Lego circle in the Venn diagram. So they're kind of finding that intersection, that middle point there. But what they're doing is they're doing something that we call in our world in-up max. In-up max is basically the following: that in every market, this is proven in market after market, it really doesn't matter what you sell, that there's a percentage of people, 100% of people will spend an amount of money to solve a specific problem, to get that transformation. We can call that price point X. Roughly 10%, so 10% of those people will spend 10 times as much money for the same thing. And roughly 1% will spend 100 times as much money for the same thing. So you have this sort of in-up max dynamic, which means that in a kind of digital product arena, you might have a book, a course, and a coaching program, all of which deliver the same transformation, but people will spend different amounts of money to achieve that same transformation. Now, some people, it's not to say that people first buy your in, then they buy your up, then they buy your max. Some people go straight to the top. Like, they'll just buy the max. They'll just say, I don't want to waste time with a 1,300 piece set. It's like when we bought the Millennium Falcon. Like, Lego's come up with probably maybe a dozen or so different Millennium Falcon sets over the years. We just went big. We're like, all right, if we're going to do this thing, we're going to go all the way. So we went right to the max. But we have other sets that we've bought, maybe kind of the micro build version of it. And that's kind of like the in. It's sort of like it gets your feet wet and it says, well, this is cool, but let's do the real thing. So by catering to people at different sort of levels of interest and different price points, Lego's able to basically kind of cover the entire market. And I think this is a useful strategy for any product creator, for anybody who has an online business, to be thinking about what is the in-up max version of your product. Tesla, for example, so I know we're mutual, it's funny, we're mutual Tesla fans here. When I bought my Model S, that's all that existed, right? And so then Tesla first started with the Roadster, right? Which was like what Leonardo DiCaprio drove, and it was whatever, $200,000 when it first came out or whatever. And then they came out with the S, and then they came out with the 3, and then they came out with, with the next level of product line that they're coming up with, but they're catering to people at different levels. And I think that's an important lesson for anybody in business, is to be thinking about what are those levels in your market. What are those price points, and how are you filling those gaps? Not to say, like Tesla, that you need to build it all at once, right? Tesla started with the Roadster and then the S. Lego didn't come up with every Hogwarts variation all at once. They started with one, proved demand, proved interest, and then upgraded to the next level. But think about what those are, and it gives you a roadmap for what your product mix might look like over time. So that's something that we try to employ in our business. We've got a book that you can buy on Amazon that teaches our methodology. We've got a digital course. We've got a coaching program, and with people who come in at all levels. Some people buy the book and that's it. Some people come right to the top and they sign up for our business coaching program. Some people buy a digital course. Some people buy everything. They buy the book, then they get the course, then they get the coaching program and go from there. So I think that's an important lesson that we can all take away, and one that I've certainly seen Lego use and deploy over the years.
There's no doubt. You want to add on to that at all, Pat?
I mean, on the Tesla thing, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, starting off small is really key, but then you can serve all those different markets. I know Tesla is even considering a smaller car, maybe a two-person passenger car, to especially fill the needs over there in China, but also here for those who maybe can't afford a Model 3, or I recently got the Model Y. And it's just, again, on top of that, the product is great. I mean, you've got them in, right? And if you've ever been in a Tesla, you know that once you're in, it's like you're in, and then you kind of want them all. So just well said, Ryan. We use that in our business as well, from books to courses to programs to that now memberships on top of that. And you can take it vertically, and you can also take it more horizontally as well. So for example, with a lot of these sets that Lego has, it's not just about getting the more expensive version, but it's also about expanding into the whole collection, right? People will want the whole collection of a certain kind. So all the Star Wars ones or all the city related ones. I'm a big fan of the architecture series of Lego, having been an architect myself too. And you kind of have to have them all once you get into it. So this whole collector's mentality is really key too. It reminds me of, and the reason I know this is because there's a really good show called The Toys That Made Us on Netflix.
Yep.
Which I don't know if you've seen. There is a Lego episode, but there's one about My Little Pony that is really interesting that I didn't think I would like, but actually that's my favorite episode. The little stamp on the rear of the My Little Pony made it a collectible. And it's like that little special thing that made you want to get them all because they all had that certain personality. And if you didn't have the whole set, then you didn't have it at all, right? And so building sort of horizontally to capture the whole set of things too. I have people in my audience, for example, who are fans who have gotten every single course. And now when I come out with a new one, they're going to get it even though they don't even know what it's about, because they want to have the whole collection, which is just, it's kind of insane, but it's a true thing, and it's awesome.
Yeah, the completionist mentality is certainly at play, and Lego leverages that. I have an example. The collectible minifigure series. So for those watching or listening that don't know, there's like a Lego minifigure that you can collect in a bag. You get one, you don't know which it's going to be, so it's a mystery minifigure. Mm-hmm. And there's, like 14 or 16 in a set. And, the idea is to collect them all. And when the 10th series of these came out, they released a Mr. Gold minifigure. And there were only 5,000 of these. And everyone was on basically a big scavenger hunt all over the country to try and run to the store to see if they could feel through those little mystery packs to see if they could find Mr. Gold, because that was the treasure that everyone was after. And ultimately, that one little minifigure had a aftermarket resale value of over $1,000 at its height, just for that one figure. So that collectability really motivated a lot of people to get out there. There were, of course, resellers that wanted to find it and flip it and get it into a serious collector's hand that didn't want to really go through all of the, try and hit as many stores as they could. They just want to go on eBay and buy the really rare figure. So coming up with ways to gamify and really serve the completionist market, again, it goes to like that 1% market that will buy everything, is something Lego has really mastered over the years. And that Mr. Gold minifigure scenario that they created is probably one of the best examples I can come up with.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Wonka style.
What's that?
Willy Wonka style.
Yeah, exactly. The golden ticket. So I want to talk more about audience building and shift the conversation a little bit away from Lego. Of course, we could bring it back in, but different ways that each of you have been able to leverage an audience that you've built already. And the reason I want to bring that up is because there are, I think, so many people that think they can jump into whether it's internet marketing or funnel design and creation and start to see results almost immediately without doing the work of audience building first. So I'll start with you, Pat, and specifically, I want to talk about one of your recent projects, which was the Switchpod, and how you used crowdsourcing and why you chose to use crowdsourcing to go that route where you didn't have to. You could have opened it up to your audience, but I'm sure there was a specific reason why you wanted to go the crowdsourcing route. And you had an audience of creators that you knew that this product would be a match for because of the years you put into creating your audience. So if you would give us a little bit of backstory there, we'd love to hear all about it.
Sure. So started my business in 2008, completely digital, helping people pass an architectural exam, and then started helping people with their own businesses too. And then in 2017, I took my videographer to a conference called Vid Summit. And this happens in LA. And this is a summit for a bunch of YouTube creators. And we noticed something interesting, that everybody was using one of those flexible tripods to hold their camera out, which is not what they were built for. They were built for sort of opening and closing them. And it was just interesting to see everybody struggle with them. And we're like, there's got to be a better solution. And apparently there wasn't. So we decided to build that. And here it is. It's called the Switchpod. This is a vlogging tool that you could put your camera on to sort of extend it out. And then in a matter of seconds, you can flip it to tripod mode just like that. So we built this, and it took about a couple years. And really where the audience help that we had built was in collecting feedback. So we had a prototype that was created just literally with cardboard to get the right shape and to even see if this was something that we could get a green light to move on to the next step. And then we went to another event with our cardboard cutouts, our very embarrassing cardboard cutouts, and started sharing it with people. And we started to get the green light. Maybe it should be a little bit taller. What if it was this angle instead? We took that feedback. Then we started to create some 3D printed models of this thing that actually worked. We took it to another event, and we started sharing it with people who we didn't know, because sometimes sometimes there could be consequence in just like sharing fun ideas with people that you know, like your friends and family, who are like, yeah, good idea, it's going to be awesome. And then you actually try to sell it and it's not going to do very well. So validating this with the actual YouTube community and people outside of our circles was really key too. So after that initial feedback, we went there and we started to get more feedback. And again, iteration after iteration after iteration, of probably about like 16 different iterations, we finally had a product that we really loved and that we were ready to share. And we could have just launched this on our own with just our audiences that we already had. My videographer, Caleb Wojcik, also has a YouTube channel with about 40,000 subs. I had 150,000 subs at the time that we were ready to launch. But we wanted to kickstart this on Kickstarter.com, meaning it's crowdsourced, because we knew that it was going to take wind if it was, in fact, a great product. Because video products in particular, they tend to, especially new innovative things, they tend to get spread around those communities quite well. And a lot of people who do a lot of video or audio related things, we like to spend money on our equipment, right? So if you can come up with something great, it could potentially spread virally. We also know that although we had an audience and we did leverage the audiences that we had, they weren't exactly, my audience in particular was not all videographers, but I knew that there would be some support from the audience. And I did indeed have people buy this who weren't even needing it, which was pretty cool. I mean, that just is a testament to building relationships. I think the best benefit of building this audience was it provided clout for me when I started reaching out to YouTube influencers. I started to leverage some of my podcast numbers. For example, Peter McKinnon, who's a big time YouTuber, big time photographer, he spoke at this event, Vid Summit, in 2018. And we chatted with him and we showed him the product, and he was really enjoying it. The reason why he started paying attention to me really quickly up front was because I just wasn't some random dude. I got an introduction from a person who I knew, who also knew him, who introduced me as a podcaster with over 60 million downloads. And that at least got my attention and my foot in the door. And then when I shared with him the product did all the speaking on its own. And then, of course, leveraging those relationships in a graceful way. Like, we could have just been like, Peter, can you please share this? No, we sent him a nice one that we created just for him in a nice care package and said, this is for you. Thank you for inspiring us. We don't expect anything else in return. And then he ended up shooting a 12-minute video about how this killed the competition, which was obviously very helpful for us when we kickstarted, because we were able to reach our $100,000 funding goal in 11 hours and 27 minutes. And we had 60 days to do it. So it kind of took off. And again, building that audience was great because it really gave us access to, most importantly, what were the actual problems that our target audience had, and a way to communicate with them about what they needed. And then we built the thing and went to the higher sort of personalities and influencers, if you want to call them that, and leaders in the space, using this audience that we had built as sort of leverage for that. And now the product is in multiple retail stores. We're having conversations with big box retailers now, and we sold out of our first batch. We have another one that just came in. We added some accessories to it now as well. And we have even more products down the road too that we are going to create. So this little side business is a whole complete business on its own now, which is really neat. And it's just taking off and exploding. And it's nice to have something physical, I will say, because when a person sees it, it's like in their hands and they can use it. And that's very different from what I have in the digital world, which is a course or something like that, where as soon as somebody pays for it, well, there's still a lot of work to be done. So very proud of this. And the Kickstarter definitely helped because that was a platform that people were familiar with. And it gained a lot of momentum based on news outlets that look for places like that. We also went to New York and did a PR tour because a lot of companies found us on Kickstarter. So we could have launched it on our own, but we were leveraging these platforms that had much higher reach and volume.
That's smart. Yeah, it reminds me similarly to just leveraging other audiences. I know when we launched Brickfest Live, we got a lot of sales from websites like Groupon and Living Social, where they already had audiences, and we're now be able to leverage their audience to drive sales. Now, unlike Kickstarter, we were having the event anyway. We didn't need to hit a threshold, but having the, knowing that you can leverage other platforms to build more awareness for what you have is certainly a great lesson. And congratulations on the success.
Think about it from Lego's perspective. They were leveraging Star Wars or leveraging Harry Potter. Those collaborations have been so key in their growth, and they can both grow together. And very similarly, the Switchpod collaborated with a lot of these bigger personalities in the YouTube and video space to do something similar. As long as you come from a place of also service to them, not taking, which is oftentimes when we hear about partnerships and collaborations, it's like, hey, can you do this for me? No, it's like, hey, how can I work with you to have something given to you, and maybe we can have something come back my way too. And that's the way to approach partnerships and collaborations.
Yeah. And the audience building that was all done for years and years and years before that, absolutely set you up for success with this, which is the hard work, which is the stuff that doesn't sound very sexy, and oftentimes that people want to skip over. So Ryan, my question for you is, when you started building your audience, at what point did you decide, you know what, I'm going to be the person that teaches people how to segment their lists. I'm going to be the person that is going to promote bucketing and quizzes and really lean into that. I have my own theory on why you leaned into that. And I think it's because you don't like waste. You want to, if someone raised their hand and said, I'm interested, you want to be able to be like, okay, I want to be able to tell you all of the reasons why you have to come and take that next step. And there's different reasons for different people. But when did you really know, like inside, I want to lean into this, I want to attach my name to this and popularize this style of marketing?
Yeah, well, I'll tie it to Lego, and then we'll kind of segue into the business side of it. So I like to say, we could debate endlessly the right way to bucket your Lego. Do you do it by color? Do you do it by theme? Do you do it by size? Like, how do you bucket your Lego? We could debate that endlessly, but I think there's one thing we can all agree on, and that is the wrong way to bucket your Lego is just to throw it in one big giant pile and call it a day, because you'll never find that piece that you're looking for. And yet I find that so many people, that's the way their business is organized. People who build an audience, they have one homogenous audience. They've got one list. Everybody's on this whole list, and nobody really knows a whole lot about that audience. They might know if they bought a product or not, but they don't really know a whole lot about sort of who those people are, what their underlying interests are, what their challenges are, so that they can ultimately segment and serve that audience at the highest level. So tying it back to Lego, like if you go in our Lego room upstairs, like we've got IKEA, shelving and like little, drawers and things like that, that everything is organized, and the kids even gotten into it. So that's kind of what we do with Lego. But if I look at my business, first business that I started, it's funny, it was also in 2008. I lost my job in the world financial crisis, and I was kind of forced to reinvent myself, and I decided to start an online business. And I didn't have any success until I started, instead of trying to sell to everybody in a one-size-fits-all way, I began when someone landed on my website by asking a few questions to then either sell them the right product or sell everybody the same product, but talk about that product in a different way. And I did it first in the most random of markets, the Scrabble tile jewelry market, teaching people how to make Scrabble tile jewelry. We started selling Scrabble tile jewelry. I went into the orchid market next. I actually have an orchid, a Lego orchid that was created by an artist out of New York. I don't have it on my desk right now. We went into the orchid market, and the same thing happened. Tried to sell just in kind of the way that most people sell online. Didn't really get any traction. Took a step back, asked people a series of questions, put them in one of several buckets, customized the marketing messaging that we put in front of them, and that business took off. Did it again in the memory improvement market, and then proceeded to go into 23 different markets, basically using this exact same playbook over and over and over again. And people, when I started kind of sharing my story and how I was doing this, inevitably people started reaching out to me and saying, hey, like, can you help me do this in my business? Like, I want to do this. It just sounds like it's a lot of work. And that led me down the path of initially working with businesses sort of as the secret weapon that would come in a big business through the back door and help them set this up, and had a lot of success with that. We built a 3-time Inc. 500 education company, teaching people basically how to do this. And then most recently built a software company that now we have AI-driven technology that helps you bucket your audience based on a number of different factors. And we have over 30 million users annually who use the software, 200 million data points. And it's right out of Lego's playbook. If you look the way Lego first started, they had one line of product. And then they eventually kind of had city, castle, space. And then they started organizing things into different themes. And then they, Pat, I think before we came on, was talking about Lego Mindstorms. And now even Mindstorms has different sub buckets within it, depending on what the use case is, the age. You've got creator, and you've got creator expert. So they're like bucketing within buckets within buckets. They're just taking this playbook. And it's the only way that I've personally had success building every company, every business that I've built. And it's the reason why I love it so much is because it helps you not only better sell, but ultimately better serve your market. So it's one of these rare win-wins in marketing where you're not winning at the expense of your customers. You're actually better serving. Whether you have one product that you sell and you're talking about your one product in a different way based on the use case, based on that person's bucket, their situation, the challenges that they're facing, or you're in Lego's case and you've got a whole bunch of different products and you're trying to figure out what's the right product for you. So it's a playbook that we've used over and over again. It's one that we've had a lot of success with. Our students and clients have had a lot of success with, and it's kind of how my brain works. I just see the world in buckets, and so I think when you find something that you resonate with and it works, that's kind of that's the name of the game. So hopefully that answers your question around on the power behind it and how it all started.
Yeah, go ahead, Pat.
I just have to give credit to Ryan as well for my business and how it's been run since I found him in his book, Ask. Because for a while, I was putting everything into just one bucket. I had an email list of 160,000 people, sending them all legit the same messages. And I have beginner people, I have advanced people. And if I sent an article about advanced SEO strategies, the beginners are going to feel like they're in the wrong spot. If I share something for the beginners, the advanced people are going to feel like they're in the wrong spot. So finding Ryan, determining the buckets based on his method, it worked because now we have 3 different buckets that we focus on. And within each of those buckets now, with an email list of over 250,000, we went from 20% open rate overall to 60 to 80% open rates on our emails because people are now receiving messages that are perfectly tailored to them. And this is the future of marketing. It's the way it should have been, personalization, but through email especially, but even just in the products that you create and the messages. Even if it's the same product, you can sell the same product to different people because guess what? People respond to different language depending on where they're at. And these buckets, if you haven't dove into Ask yet, you gotta. And I just wanted to say thanks, Ryan, to you publicly here because it's been a big game changer for us. It's been the backbone of all of our decisions.
It's cool. It's cool to see you do it. I love that you're doing it because I think your business is a perfect use case for that, where you have something like a podcast that attracts people from a lot of different stages of their journey. And it's sort of like you don't really necessarily know a whole lot about that person coming in. Yeah, you know that they're a listener, you know that they count as a download, but you don't really know kind of, where they're at. How are they listening? Where are they listening? Are they a total beginner? What type of business are they in? Are they listening to you because they found out about your product on Kickstarter? Did they find your YouTube channel? Have they been a listener for a long time? They'd read one of your books? Have they been following you since the architecture days and they've been there kind of like all along? And when you know a little bit about someone, you can ultimately serve them at the highest level. And the methodology that we've used, and of course you guys both know this, is a quiz funnel. And the reason why I love talking about building your audience, I have yet to find, in my almost 15 years of doing this now, yet to find a faster, more effective way to build a large audience completely from scratch than to do so on the back of a quiz funnel, where you're taking people through a path, asking them a series of questions to understand a little bit more about them, and at the same time can sell the right product or service to them. Whether that quiz funnel is what type of Lego is right for you, shopping for a gift, like what's the ultimate set that's right for you? Take the quiz to find out now. Or you're trying to figure out, like in your case, Pat, right? What's the ultimate, are you a vlogger looking for the right tool to vlog while you're on the go? Take the quiz to find out the right product for you. There's a use case in pretty much every business out there, whether you sell one product or service or a whole bunch of different things that this can be used for. And we don't have time to get into all the psychology behind it, but when you can tap into this power of self-discovery and you can teach someone something about themselves going through this process, it's a promise that's more powerful than almost anything, because the thing that we ultimately care more about, everyone watching this right now, we all have to kind of raise our hands and agree to this, is ourselves. If you can help me, if you can tell me something about myself, teach me something about myself, if you can relate what you do to me, that is ultimately my favorite subject. It's not Lego. It's not vlogging or podcasting. It's not building your audience. It's tell me more about me. And when you can use a quiz funnel to do that, it's an incredibly powerful way to welcome people into your world, know a little bit more about them than just their name and email, and then ultimately sell and serve at the highest level.
Love it. We are coming around the home stretch, guys. I'm going to ask you one question and let me know with one or two sentences what comes to mind, and then we'll wrap this up. Pat, marketing on demand, when you hear that phrase, what does that mean to you?
To me, marketing on demand means at any moment in time when I want to share something, whether that is a free thing, a blog post, podcast episode, or a YouTube video, or a paid item, a premium item, an offering of some kind, that at any moment, I know that I can find that audience within my crowd, that I can come up with a strategy and even already have these strategies readily available to send that message out to who it needs to be sent to get the results that I want and to give the results that I want to give. That's what marketing on demand is to me.
That's great. And if people want to learn more or follow your journey, continue to follow it, how could we learn more about Pat Flynn?
Thank you. You could check out my main website, smartpassiveincome.com. I also have a personal website, patflynn.com, where I talk about other things like parenting, tech, kids, education, those kinds of things as well. And my YouTube channel, I've been showing up live every day there for 152 days straight, and it doesn't look like I'm going to end anytime soon. So I'd love to see you on one of the live streams at some point.
Nice. Ryan, same question for you. When you hear marketing on demand, what comes to mind?
Well, Pat had it easy. He got to go first. He gets to say all the good stuff. Just building on what Pat said, for me, it's having access to the skills, the resources, and tools that you can literally pull out of your back pocket at any time and be able to create customer demand on demand. So in other words, you want to create demand for a new project or something that you're selling, you have the ability to do that at a finger snap whenever you want to do that. So in just a few short sentences, that's what marketing on demand means to me. And how can we learn more about Ryan Levesque? Yeah, well, so our main website is askmethod.com. That's ASK, got to pronounce the K, askmethod.com. And if you want to see one of these quiz funnels in action, and it's a really useful one if you are building an online business, you can go to takethefunnelquiz.com. And that's an example of a quiz funnel in action that'll help you diagnose and determine which of the 27 different online funnels is right for you and your business based on your niche, based on your experience level, the price point of what you're selling. So you can see the power of one of these quiz funnels in action. And again, that's takethefunnelquiz.com.
Awesome. All right, everyone. If you found this episode useful for your business, take a screenshot, tag Pat, tag Ryan, tag me so we could see them and repost them. And be sure to use the hashtag Marketing on Demand. Also, the Marketing on Demand show and podcast is launching on Monday, September 14th. And we're having a live launch party on Zoom. You can get free tickets by texting VIP to 90851. I'll add you to our VIP list, which will get you exclusive access to my private Zoom room where we're going to have a live Q&A. Prizes, by the way, Pat, here are a couple prizes that we're going to be giving away.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Right, and the attachment there for yep, coming to you. Just go ahead and text VIP to 90851 or visit marketingondemand.com. Until next time, I'm Chad Evan Collins. This has been the Marketing on Demand Summit. Hey, real quick, if you enjoyed this episode, please let me know by rating this podcast and leaving me an honest review. If you found this episode useful for your business, take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram at chadcollins.me and use hashtag marketingondemand. That way, I'll be able to see it and repost it. I also created a guide of the top 40 ways people are using marketing on demand strategies and tactics in their businesses. And I want you to have it for free. Just text GUIDE, GUIDE, to 90851 and I'll get it right over to you on demand. Until next time, I'm Chad Evan Collins, and this has been the Marketing on Demand Show.